Folks, we have a pretty full agenda. Good evening. We have 3 public hearings to start us off, and then we'll move into our regular meeting. So if you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is on Chief Keenstra's uniform. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have another pledge of allegiance to do before the start of the regular meeting. If the flag shows up, please have a seat, and then we'll do a moment of silence before we get to the regular one.
I'll be back.
Could I have a motion, please, to open the public hearing for the Kingdom Road Pump Station Force Main improvements? Thank you. Second, please. Second. Thank you. This relates to the environmental study. Town Engineer Baker will give you a little bit of information.
Thanks, Mike. I'm Pete Baker. I am with partner with Judas. We are the town engineer from the town of Seneca Falls. And as most of you know, we've been working on the Kingdom Road Pump Station Forestry project. The purpose of the public hearing is actually in support of the pending bond resolution that's on the agenda item tonight. So as the town engineer, pretty much want to provide just a brief statement of what the project is. Essentially, this is a 40-year-old pump station. It's located at the opposite side of Ballsy Road. The pump station has been long in need of repair. It discharges into a force main that's 40 years old that has failed periodically. The project itself will provide more safe and effective conveyance. It's going to provide increased conveyance capacity, so it will allow for additional developments along the west end of the Falls Sewer District, as well as the town of Clare and town of Junius on the Route 414, Route 318 corridor. So it provides an essential service to replace a a pump station that's long past its useful life, and will provide an effective conveyance for anyone in West End of the Falls Sewer District, as well as the areas, again, entire Junius. The overall project cost, part of this project is to identify the project cost. We've developed an estimate. We've updated that estimate recently. The new cost, the revised cost is $2.75 million for the project. And the other part of this is we have gone through the environmental review process. So really the driver right now is ultimately there's a grant program through New York State Environmental Facilities Program that MRB is working with the town, ourselves, and the town's council, bond council, to complete that grant application. The bond resolution is a piece of that is required. It essentially demonstrates to the state that the town is committed to advance the project. And the purpose behind that grant application is a 25% grant. So it's effectively about $700,000 for the overall project. So that the driver here is to apply for the grant, demonstrate to the state that the town is ready to move on the project. We've advanced the design, so we anticipate this is going to be a 2022 construction. That's about really all I have to say in that. So it is a public hearing. I guess I will leave it up to anybody else that wants to speak on the topic.
Thank you. So again, this is the project that's been kicked down the road for a lot of years, and we're hoping to break ground, everything getting lined up with bonding and grants and so forth, and breaking ground next year. Anybody would like to speak at this public hearing? Thank you. Have a motion to close the public hearing, please. Thank you. Second? Thank you. Can I have a motion, please, for our second public hearing, 2022 preliminary budget public hearing? Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. So, again, we're following the timeline here. I presented a tentative budget to the board back in October, and then we've had 3 budget workshops lasting 4 to 5 hours, and a lot of hard work went into the budget to get it to the preliminary budget. We have to adopt the preliminary budget tonight, and then after the public hearing and probably one more meeting with the board, we'll go from the preliminary budget to the adopted 2022 budget, which has to be done by November 20th. So we will be scheduling a meeting tonight to finalize the budget, so forth. So there are copies of the budget up here. There's also a summary of the budget. If you'd like one of those, Town Clerk Greer has them, if you'd like one. It's also on our website. Board members, I put this together to try to make it a little bit easier instead of fumbling through the whole budget. The 22 budget is broken down into the different appropriations. So our total budget, including the general fund, recreation, business park, highway, water, sewer, obligations to the village and the old town, is $13,519,530. This is an increase of $857,313, which is a 6.3 increase. I also did a spreadsheet for you for revenue, and revenue would projected to be up 381,039, or 4.8% increase in revenue. And then on the third page, or the back of the second page, I should say, I listed all of our reserve funds. In the A fund, there is a tax stabilization under the A fund, which is $1.8 million. Money from that fund will be used to help offset this current 22,000 budget. I think $400,000 is in there. Police equipment, $37,000, and capital reserve in the general fund, which is basically our savings, landfill, excess revenue, $454,725. In the highway reserve, $331 for equipment. We have money for the bridge reserve. At some point in life, this bridge here is going to need some extensive work. 86,000 is not going to cover a whole lot, but at least we got something started. Water reserve, capital projects, we have $1.7 million in reserve roughly, and the sewer reserve, $5.152 million. A lot of our landfill revenue over the last few years has gone into the sewer reserve because there is where most of the work will have to be done. But it seems like a lot of money, but we're just doing one project this year, or next year, hopefully starting this year, but the equalization tank, just one project, it's going to be over $6 million. So as you can see, it seems like a lot, but it's not really. We're not going to spend the reserves for the equalization tank. We're going to bond it, and we're going to grant it, hopefully, and then make a decision on how much we want to use to offset the financing type of thing. And there's $10,000 there. Business Park has $16,000 in a capital improvement reserve. Total reserves are $9.6 million. And it's important to understand that everybody should understand that I can't take money from the equipment part of the highway reserve fund and move it to the sewer fund or move it to pay down taxes, okay? Where it's designated, it has to be used specifically for that particular project, okay? Final calculations on the preliminary budget, amount raised by tax this year will be $4.8 million. Last year was $4.3 million roughly. The change is, I'm sorry, my columns got messed up. The change is 10.2% increase. And as of right now, the tax rate per 100,000 for people who live in the old village will be $10.16 per thousand. And it was $9.77 last year. That represents a 4% increase. And if you live in the old town, your tax rate for 2022 as of right now will be $9.99 per 100,000 or per thousand. And the old town last year was $9.61. I'm sorry, that's per thousand, not 100,000. I'm sorry. And that also represents a 4% increase as of right now. Okay. This budget uses $430,000 from the taxpayer relief fund, $472,000 from the unexpended fund balance and $1.1 million from 2022 landfill revenue in the 2022. We were about $16,000 over the tax cap limit. My suggestion is even though we have a public hearing tonight to allow us to go over, my recommendation would be to somehow eliminate the $16,000 over, probably about $17,000, so that we don't have to exceed the tax cap limit, which get us in that 2-point-something range type of thing. Any questions? Board members, any questions? Okay, as I said, we need to schedule one final meeting to determine how you want to get below the limit on the tax cap. There's a couple things in the preliminary budget that I personally would like to see taken out that we need to talk about. There's $4,000 earmarked for the Ludovico Trail, which I find personal thing. I don't think we should be funding the Ludovico Trail, especially since all the aggravation we've gone through. And there's $2,100 in the budget for hosting the videos on Finger Lakes TV. We talked about this last year. It's still in the budget. I think it's a complete waste of $2,100. With our new website up live, it'll be on the website. We have a YouTube account, our own account. Right now, everything gets posted to Kathy's account, which is going to stop. We have a Twitter account, so the visibility and the ability for people to see the meeting is there. It's a waste of $2,100, and you can only see 2 hours in the meeting anyway. After 2 hours, it goes gone. So that would be something I would suggest that we cut out as well. But we can make that decision when we pick a date. And this meeting will be a twofold meeting because we have some things that we got to change.
Are we in the public?
I'm sorry?
Are we in the public hearing for the budget?
Correct.
Okay, so we shouldn't be discussing the town board meeting in the public hearing for the...
Okay, we don't have to set the date now, we can set it up after.
Yeah, so we should continue to
Sure.
see if anybody needs to speak.
Sure, not a problem. All right, have a motion to close the public hearing for the budget, preliminary budget.
Anybody want to speak?
Nobody wants to speak, I've asked.
Okay.
Nobody wants to speak, right? Okay, can I have a motion to close the meeting?
Make a motion to close the meeting.
Thank you, can I have a second for that? Thank you very much. Okay, can I have a motion to enter into our third public hearing, which is...
All in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Public hearing for our third public hearing, proposed local law 3 override the tax levy limit. Have a motion to open that meeting.
I make a motion to open the meeting.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And again, this is just taking care of business. If we, you have to have a public hearing and you have to register with the state if you are going over the tax limit. 2.6%.
Tax is 2%.
2 what?
2.
2. Okay. I don't know if it was 2.6 or 2. Okay. So this is just a safeguard. If we have to, then we're legally able to do so. Anybody want to ask questions or make comment on this public hearing? Okay. Have a motion.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Thank you. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Can we pick a date for the final budget meeting to accept the new?
We should convene our regular meeting now.
I'm sorry?
We should convene our regular meeting, roll call.
Sure.
And then
No problem. We'll get through it eventually. Okay. Town Clerk Greer, could you please take roll call?
Okay. Mark Ferrara.
Present.
Ron Geisen. Here. Doug Avery.
Here.
Dave Delaney.
Here.
Steve Gershon.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And a moment of silence. pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Councilman Churchill, would it be appropriate now to sign an open date, or you want to wait until the very end of the meeting?
I don't know, I mean, I guess we can do that somewhere or under new business or.
Well, you let me know when you want to do it. Okay?
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, I guess we'll do it, you know, when we'll do it
I'm just
under.
suggesting, in order for it to be part of the public record.
Yeah, absolutely.
Officially, it needs to be done within the meeting.
Absolutely. We'll do it under other new business, letter X on the new business. Good idea. Okay. We have 3 petitioners scheduled. Mr. Kelsey?
Yeah.
Remember our be polite, respectful, and 3-minute time frame. How are you this evening?
Terrible.
Sorry to hear that.
Okay, to start off with, I do want to thank Mr. Farrar, because when I left the podium last time, talking about somebody who had a degree in economics, well, I guess we didn't find, he said, we quite had one.
I didn't
So we got one.
It's all a collaborative effort.
All right, let's start with general fund. How much is the police department getting every year in general fund?
Makes up about 40% of the overall budget in the general fund. So about 40% of, I don't know exactly without looking, but I would say from the 1.8.
Well, I think you're in the room with 20 million, 2 million?
I think we're safe on 1.8 roughly.
1.8 now, okay. And is Kids Territory still an option with $70,000 for it?
Kids Territory, you talking about Vincent's Park or Kids Territory?
I thought it was Kids Territory that sent the paper.
Kids
Or are
Terri-
you talking about the park at the lake that's roughly what it
Oh, I'm
costs?
sorry, yes, okay. For new equipment,
Yes.
that's down at Bridgeport, down on Lower Lake Road, that is out of the budget.
All right. And another thing is, just the comments that, yeah, we're gonna have 15% tax.
This year?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no, right now the preliminary budget is a
Because, you know,
4%.
I just looked at the paper and it says 15%.
You can't read everything you see in the paper, okay?
Yes, you can read everything in the paper.
Well, you can't believe everything you read. Right now, if nothing else changes, right now, okay? If the board was to adopt the preliminary budget, right now, your tax would be you live in the old town or the old village?
I live on Fall Street.
You live in the old village, so your tax would be $9 and
$10.
1001 per thousand, not 15.
10/16.
10/60.
1016 per thousand,
4% more.
okay?
Okay,
And it might not be a little lower.
well, it is gonna be lower because I'm a disabled vet.
You what?
I'm a disabled vet. I just
Yeah,
got
there you
another
go.
rating.
You got an exemption. God bless you. Thank you for your service.
No problem. Someone had to do it. And one other thing, we still keeping Vincent's Park, right?
Correct, it's in the budget.
Okay. And Kids Territory out there.
This territory is a playground, Little League field, soccer field, yes.
Yeah.
Baseball.
We're still keeping the community center, yes. We're still maintaining our parks,
All
yes.
right, and are you now gonna start looking at the dump to increase the value of our 3 million to about 5 or 6 million to drop our taxes?
I have no idea. I mean, I have no idea what you're talking about.
How about that black letter where it says the dump, if you start dropping these stupid lawsuits, we give you $5 million. Now, the only way the dump closes is the DEC closes it. There any law?
Mr. Councilman, we've had this discussion, we've talked about this. The board has had a position right now, and in 2025, the landfill is slated to close, okay?
Okay,
Okay,
up to the DEC. Because they control it.
okay.
Well, that's all I got in 3 minutes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Second petitioner, Jessica Lambert. Jessica, you are here. Thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Welcome.
I'm just here again to talk about.
There's a microphone up there, Jessica. You know, the only reason why it's there is because I'm
Use
partially...
it?
It's on, I think.
So it is.
I hit it on. I'm partially deaf. Might not be on. Little button on the bottom. Peter probably turned it off. You can't get your own microphone.
Okay, I'm here to speak about the Miller Street flooding again. I understand that the storm drain was partially cleared, but not completely cleared when we did the road routing. And when we had the rain on October 27th, my backyard flooded again. The neighbor's yard flooded. The sump pumps were luckily able to keep up. But I know a lot of other houses on the street were not as lucky. I've been told that the 4-inch supplementary pipe, I'm not really sure what it is, that runs perpendicular to the storm drain, was supposed to be a backup plan to catch the overflow. I don't have a degree in engineering, but when you have 6 and 8 inches of water, I'm not quite sure how a 4-inch pipe is supposed to help clear that water in the yard. But more so, are there laws or codes against other people's drain water coming into my yard? Are people allowed to drain into my property? Because essentially that's what's happening with the storm drain backing up the way that it is, right?
And again, when I was going over the supervisor's comments, I was going to talk a little bit about draining. Again, you have my deepest sympathy for your flooding issues, okay? We did spend $5,200 on trying to clean out partial of the pipe. The camera, they couldn't get any further, so had to go to Plan B. We're probably looking at their estimate of 2 to 3 more days, which the town board will have to make a decision on to spend that money, okay? Tonight, there is a motion under new business to do a engineering plan for your neighborhood, Chapel Street, Oak Street, over to Boston Avenue, so forth, to exactly figure out the drainage situation, which is the first step to take. And then after the plan is done, and then a design, and an RFP, and actual construction. So that's not going to help you in the short term, but as you know, the whole entire town and the whole entire region is experiencing severe flooding. And it's a combination of many factors. One, the infrastructure was built not to handle the type of water that we are currently getting, okay? Climate change. The events that happened in August and also happened last week, if you talk to climatologists and engineers, they're supposed to be once in a generational thing.
And
Okay?
yeah.
And we all know that that's not happening. We all know that.
My
Okay?
yard flooded
But
twice.
Jessica,
Like
you
2
know
days
that
before in August, and then the big day in August, and now this is the 4th time it's
Absolutely.
flooded in 2 months.
Yep. So as I said, I agree with you 100%. We know it's not a once in a generational thing, okay? But Miller Street's not the only place flooded. There was throughout the whole town.
I can
Waterloo,
appreciate
Geneva,
that.
everybody. Let me finish,
Yeah.
okay? Then the other issue is that we have many residents, like you alluded to, and there are many businesses that are connected. Their stormwater is going into our sewer lines, okay? And when that happens, then the sewer line can't handle the influx of water. And then things start backing up. And that's why people have water in their basement and people have this. That's why we have to sometimes discharge sewage into the canal. That's why we're replacing the equalization tank to take the, handle the water, but it's never gonna handle the volume of water, but at least what doesn't leak, okay? There's no law in the book that says the town of Seneca Falls can knock on somebody's door and say, we're gonna inspect your plumbing, okay? The only way that happens, if you sell your home, then we do a sewer inspection at that point. And then if there's illegal hookups, then either the owner or the buyer has to correct it. But people's drainage goes in to the sewer line, okay? And to say to somebody, all right, you need to change where you gotta put a sub pump in your house and the water can't go into the sewer line and you gotta dig this up, we're talking, $10,000 per home.
And I'm specifically worried about the storm drain that runs along my house. I understand what you're saying, big picture is impossible, but for me to have to accept that that pipe is not working the way it should and has not been maintained the way that it should, that's not my problem.
Well, it's not your problem, but again, the house has always been there, the pipe is over 100 years old.
Right?
And as you know, the land slopes from behind your house to down Miller Street, so it's a naturally sloping piece of property that water will eventually get onto, okay? I'm not saying we're not doing anything, I'm saying we cleaned out part of the pipe. I'm gonna ask the board to expend more money to clean out the rest of the pipe, but I gotta sit here based on the expert saying, I don't know if that's gonna fix the problem.
Right, but at least in coming from me, at least we can't blame it on the fact that the pipe is partially blocked. You did what you could do. I'm willing to accept that, assuming that the pipe is cleared and that long-term, there's another solution to work on, and not just that I'm going to be up all night watching the radar when we're supposed to get rain, or having to leave work early because my yard is flooding, or having to re-level my backyard because it's sinking, or restone my driveway, or run my dehumidifier 24/7. I never had to do that before.
And in my house, I do it, I have to every day for the whole year. Again, I'm not saying, look at me, I'm trying to say to you that we're working on a solution. We're gonna get a cost for cleaning the rest of the pipe. We're gonna determine if that's even worth it. I'm also Highway Superintendent Peterson, we're working on getting a cost to replace the pipe, okay? And then once I have those numbers, I will present it to the board and we'll make a decision on, if they want to spend the money, okay, and go from there.
And
feel
I'm
your
just going to
pain.
be here to remind you that this needs to be done. That's all.
Yep, I agree. We couldn't agree on anything more. And I don't think there's anybody in this board who doesn't feel the same way you do. We have to start someplace, and that's with a engineering plan and working our way. But this has to be done for the whole entire town. It's just not one neighborhood. We have to start at the canal and figure out how we're going to start fixing things that are over 100 years old. Okay?
Mike, is the added expenditure for her?
I'm sorry.
Is the added expenditure for her situation on the agenda tonight?
No, because I don't have a price yet to replace the pipe. Got a price to Roto-Rooter,
Right.
but we were talking, we don't know if is it a better solution just to replace?
I was in her yard last week, and it's Oak Street draining through a town-owned pipe,
Yep.
hitting an obstruction and coming up through a town-owned manhole. So
It
her
literally
situation is
moved the
very
manhole.
different than anybody else's.
I know that, but I'm saying, is it better to spend $10,000 on trying to clean the rest of the pipe? Or would it be more cost efficient to spend $25,000 and replace the whole pipe? You know what I'm
Depends
saying?
on how quickly you can replace the whole pipe.
If
If it's gonna be this fall,
there's no reason why, Jim, right? That couldn't be done this fall?
I don't see it. Couldn't, we're just waiting on the estimate to come in.
I don't know. There's a reason why we couldn't get any further up the pipe, right? With the Roto-Rooter?
Right, it just, They're gonna be there 3 to 4 more days, if they can get through it, because routes are so bad.
Peter, they stopped at some point, right?
Yeah, they basically, we had them for a day. They got busy. That was the agreement the town worked on, was to clean that pipe for a day. They got up through, well, I think that the hard route, they got through, like the pipe's in very poor condition. So I think number one, the options we talked about, relining that pipe is probably not on the table. It's beyond that. So the replacement would be the option. The issue is that you've got the garage that's been built over the pipe, and I believe there's a few trees too. So I think the full replacement would be, parts of it can be replaced readily. The area by the garage would probably require the trees, there's 2 or 3 trees I think in the way, they would probably have to come down too. So that's kind of been a challenge, is to determine, as you did a good job, like long term, the plan is to get rid of that pipe altogether and divert on Oak Street and to provide all those diversions. So,
And just because there's water coming out of the manhole doesn't mean that there's a blockage. I'm sure there is, but there was water coming out of 90% of the manholes in Seneca Falls during that storm. It's not because they're blocked, the system can't take any more water.
Right, but it's Oak Street draining into her yard.
Oak Street, yep, Oak Street.
Most of the
And all-
manholes that we saw those days were out in the road. This is in her yard.
And as you know, there's a line that goes behind all the houses on Miller Street too. Not only laterally, but behind their houses. That's the way they did things back in the day. I don't know. It's not the answer. I just like to know, me personally, if it was my house, I'd rather have a new pipe there versus taking a chance that this 100-year-old pipe, you know what I'm saying, when you try to go to root, it's going to break up even more. I don't know.
Trees, you take the shrubs, do what you have to do to make it work, and cost effective. I understand money and budget and whatever else, so yes. If it's not gonna work to rotor root, or that's not gonna be a viable option because of the condition of the pipe, then replace that, absolutely.
Jessica, as soon as I get a price, I will confer with the engineer, Tim, I'll share it with the board, and we'll make a decision. It's not forgotten, trust me, it's something that we work on all the time, honestly.
Okay, well, like I said, I just want to be here to make sure that it's
Okay,
not forever.
thank you. Jim, put a bug in his ear for me again, will you?
I will do so.
Thank you. At this time, we have privilege of the floor. Would anybody like to speak tonight? Okay, then we're going to move to our regular agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the town board meetings from the regular monthly meeting on October 5th, 2021?
I make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve minutes from the budget workshop of October 7th?
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Nikki, there was one of the meetings, I remember I told you we had to send those partial minutes to somebody. Remember the budget meeting, they needed it for,
Yes, for the creating that position.
right. You get that done?
That will be done this week.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to accept the dog control officer report for the month of October. Go to second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I will make a motion to accept the zoning office report for the month of October. Can I have a second for that, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Dick? Just so everyone knows, we're working on some issues, zoning issues. We have a lawsuit against us that was filed by the Cuban Nation, and their lawsuit claims that 116 West Barrett Street I think, I can't remember the exact address, but East Barrett Street.
126.
126, I knew there was a 6 and a 1 in there. Anyway, 126 East Barrett Street, and because it's zoned R1, and the Cuba Nation's position is that we're not doing enough to close the business down. We have sent them, the owners of the property, which is the Seneca Cuba Nation of Oklahoma, we sent them a notice that they needed to appear in front of the zoning board for a special use permit, and their attorneys got back to us and said, we need a 30-day suspension, can we have that? Because we're trying to find local counsel, which we granted, so that's in the process, but we still got a lawsuit pending against us. And we also have notices of violation for another property that popped up on Lake Road. It's a barn that's selling some different stuff out of it, owned by a Cuba Nation member, and we sent them letters of violation as well. So, again, our position is not we're going to get in the middle of who can sell what, and if it's, you know, they're Cuba Nation, they're not Cuba Nation, and which faction is doing this. We're not getting in the middle of that. We're just issuing zoning. That zoning is our concern. Okay.
Yeah, I have a quick question for Dick. Dick, I'm just wondering on your report why some fees don't have any dollar amount in there.
I don't have it in front of me, so the, which.
Well, I mean, like here on the front page, you have 3 or 4 right here, they have no fee down here for a couple.
It could be for roofs, because we do not charge for roofs.
Well, some are for roofs, windows, and others are, yeah, I mean, so it is,
They're roofs, no fee for a roof,
no fee for a roof?
Yes.
because the county charges a fee, so we decided not to charge a fee for town level too.
I mean, here's a deck, replace existing front deck, new platform, ramp, replace bay window, bay window roof, nothing for roofs.
No,
Okay,
nothing for roofs.
thank you.
Okay. The last thing under zoning is that our committee that's been working on moratorium type of thing has met with the combined meeting between the zoning and planning, shared some of their thoughts, and some final recommendations will be coming back to the board at some point here in the next couple of months with the moratorium and covering renewable energy, solar, wind, et cetera, et cetera.
Can I say that, Mike? I attended that combined meeting. It was just about solar that night. And if nothing else, it proved beyond a shadow of a doubt to me that the moratorium was needed. And I know it didn't sit well with everybody in the room at the time, but you know, it was stated that night that basically before this process, but until we get something passed, we don't have protections in this town, which may be why the 2 solar farms came here. But there are also real concerns about simply how many solar farms we could have if allowed to simply proceed with the protections that we've got in order, in place, and even with the protections that are proposed here. So it needed to be studied, and I'm not going to say yes or no or on anything, but it needed to be studied, and to me the moratorium is definitely proving to be a good thing, particularly in terms, I don't know about the others, but particularly the solar farms. There's one other issue, but that's the battery. It's coming up, right? Battery storage is coming up. I don't even know what that is. So, but the solar, that was solar farms, and it was a heated discussion and a needed discussion. So, very good.
Yeah, I would think, I wasn't aware of that meeting too, and I was unable to attend it, but it seems to me that we kind of got the cart before the horse here, in that we really need to review and update our comprehensive plan first, which then these codes will adhere and conform to what the comprehensive plan is. We really need to visit that first, and I don't know if there's any effort to do that.
Now, by me, who would you suggest do it?
I don't know, committee that's working on it should at least pull it out and take a look at it.
We've done that. We've looked at the comprehensive plan and basically the things that are in the comprehensive plan, a lot of the things are what we're working on, we've been working on. It's economic development, it's the use of renewable energy, it is trying to, a green energy corridor on 414. A lot of that is there. There's also Seneca Falls Development Corporation comprehensive plan that we are also, which is only 2 years old, I think, has also been a guiding light. But the comprehensive plan certainly should be revisited. Certainly, I think it's probably 10 years old.
Yeah, I don't know about first, whether it should be done first. It should be done. It hasn't been addressed in a long time. But the things that we talked, that were talked about, I wasn't a participant, but that were talked about that night were pretty specific and would not be in a comprehensive plan. For instance, the buffer.
Oh, no, the comprehensive plan really provides the structure, the framework.
I know that, but these things would not be in that, so I'm not saying, I'm questioning that the comprehensive plan would necessarily have to be done first before you move on to these other things. You're not going to see anything in the comprehensive plan about how wide the buffer zone should be between the property line and the beginning of the solar collectors.
It gives you the more than 50,000 foot view of what the direction of the town.
So they should both be moving forward, but if you wait for the comprehensive plan, then you're still going to have to sit down and do these very specific things.
Sure.
So anyway, but it was worthwhile. I appreciate the meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for zoning? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Dyson, Parks and Recreation.
I make a motion that we accept the park and recreation minutes.
Second.
Any questions for Missy or Don?
Thank you, Missy, for a wonderful job at the Halloween,
You're welcome.
and everyone involved.
Everyone, I know we had a ton of volunteers, downtown businesses, a bunch of organizations, police department, fire department, and it went very well. We had about 300 kids coming through, so I think it was a success.
I needed 350, so I didn't take so much candy home.
Felt like 350.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Councilman Avery, Highway Department, please.
Make a motion that we accept the monthly report of the highway department as submitted.
Second. Any questions here? Jim has put down 14 items. We met, Doug and I met, I don't know what day it is anymore, I think Monday or last Friday, I don't know. Anyway, any questions for Jim on this one?
We still have fall cleanup coming up.
Fall pickup is Monday, this coming Monday. And winter parking did take effect November 1st. So there's no overnight parking in Southern on the streets.
I find it ticking on my window, somebody's going to be, there better be 4 inches of snow on the ground. I'm telling you right now.
Jim, for the cleanup, what can we put out?
Weeds and brush.
Leaves and brush.
Only.
Thank you.
And it should be out the day before. Really.
Sunday.
It's a 1 day only. Right?
Yep.
Coming up on the 2-year anniversary of that parking ticket.
Not so sure if it's been paid yet.
COVID, of course, we're closed.
You got a judge here, maybe you can.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilman Churchill, assessors report, please.
Yes, I move we accept the assessor's report as presented.
I second.
Debbie is not here tonight. Her sister is in town and from California and is leaving tomorrow, so I gave her absolution for the night. But pretty self-explanatory. Councilman Church, I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary, correct?
No.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Attorney Morel.
So you've already addressed the most recent lawsuit that the town is now a party to. That happened in the past, happened this week. And then the notices for the other zoning violations that I've been working with our zoning officer on. But otherwise, nothing to report that is not on the agenda.
Thank you. Councilman Avery, water and sewer report, please.
I move that we accept the monthly report of the water and sewer department.
Second.
Thank you. Again, Joe provided some items there and updates. Any questions for Joe or the chairman of the committee? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Councilman DeLeus, Town Justice.
Make a motion to accept the report of the town justice as presented.
I skipped something?
I don't think they have a report.
I got one here.
You got one?
Well, I guess it's not a report.
I don't have one.
No, we don't have one in our packet.
Yeah.
So I guess there's no motion. Dave, is that the report they're submitting?
Well, they gave me a report about the new clerk.
Oh, we
Okay.
already have that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we were given the resignation.
Yeah.
Talk about the contracts later.
No.
It's going to be a report. It's a partial report. It's not the regular report.
Everything okay back there, Your Honor? Didn't realize it was the first of the month, huh?
I did not even know, I'm not sure where it's at.
I mean, not your domain, probably, huh?
Fact is written today.
Okay. Well, we'll be waiting in anticipation for the 2 reports in December, okay? Okay.
They did hire a new clerk.
They did hire a new clerk?
Not yet.
It's on the agenda
It's on the
tonight.
agenda.
Well, they hired one when we improved it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the agenda, okay? Okay. Councilman DeLeus, public safety.
Motion to accept the report of the police chief as presented.
I second that. You received the chief's report this week. Any questions for him? Comments, concerns? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I make a motion we accept the town engineer report from Barton and Judas. Have a second for that, please.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Peter? Again, this is pretty self-explanatory. Updates on what's going on. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Make a motion, we accept the MRV grant writing services report for the month of October. Have a second for that, please.
Second.
Thank you. Self-explanatory. Any questions for Peter or Rhonda via Peter? Via Peter. Via Matt? Matt, busy, 2 big grants we're trying to get going here.
Yes, sir. Two years for the 2 projects you referenced tonight, the equalization tank and Kingdom Road, and then fingers crossed on some CFA applications in Bridge, New York.
We're in a deadline for those RIA grants, I think November 22nd. We have a meeting with MRB, Barton and Judas, myself, the bonding attorney, and the Donegan group on Friday morning, hopefully to finalize everything and get everything submitted going forward. Okay? And as I mentioned, when we set a date for the budget, it'll also be 2 things got to go on. We're going to have to pass some new bonding resolutions to move the grant forward. Okay, all in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Councilman Avery, anything going on in the Development Corporation?
Due to irreconcilable scheduling problems, the Central Falls Development Corp did not meet in October. We're meeting next week for having a combined 2-month meeting. So I'll have something for you to remember.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to, there's no other committee reports, I'm assuming, right? Have a motion to accept the communications for the month of October. Okay. Second, we have 8 communications ranging from the monthly report of monies to the town supervisor, Canal Fest, thank you, the minutes from the county planning board, watershed minutes, heritage prevention meeting minutes, et cetera, et cetera. All in favor of accepting those communications, please say aye. I have a couple one items, old business, Pat,
So, so 115 Fall Street.
is sold.
Well, I'm still looking for.
What is sold?
Unfinished.
115 is sold and delivered.
Well, it's under contract, but we are getting to get the closing together. I have some orders out to get some updated information regarding the title work, basically. And then when we do that, we should be able to put this into that.
Nowhere did I hear sold.
Well, it's not sold, on the contract. You'll know when it's sold because you'll be signing everything.
The principal account clerk's got a lot of faith in you because she took out the $6,000 of $6,000 condo fees out of the budget.
Okay.
She has a lot of faith.
Good. Thank you. I got you back.
Told you. Okay. Anything new with meeting with SMI?
Nothing new, just trying to get our side of things buttoned up so we can send it over and then have some more to sit down and talk with them about.
Okay. Moving on to new business, approval of special events. I think we have a couple of them to look at. One is from Brad Van Dusen Photography, and the other one is...
That's it.
No, that's it, right? Any questions on that one? You don't have it? So no question. Pretty simple, I think, right?
He wants to set up a mini shoot day down at the gazebo, and he just sent me insurance today.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
See,
10 to 5 on November 20th.
what
Holiday.
kind of pictures is he gonna take?
Whoever, many shoots for whoever signs up for the day.
Okay, I'm approving this. This is the third time I did it now. All right.
I go to 8 a.m.
November 20th, 10 a.m. to 5.
Is that a Saturday?
Yes. I don't know that for sure.
Yes.
10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Thank you.
We have to have a motion to approve.
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept the 2022 preliminary budget, please?
You didn't approve the special event.
I didn't?
No.
You did. All in favor of the special event? I approved it on paper. All in favor of the special events, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Great. Can I have a motion to approve the 2022 preliminary budget, please?
You don't have to do that.
Don't have to do that.
No. You just presented it, now you can make your meeting, schedule your meeting now.
Yeah, we approve it on this,
Okay.
between us.
What'd you put it on there for if I don't have to approve it?
Because I put it on there so you can schedule your meeting, I should have put that.
Oh, that's a quick one. I
Could
like
we
that.
approve the budget tonight, maybe if, I mean, we could go ahead and approve the budget
You
as
can approve it as it is, or
as
you
it
can
is.
just go on.
And be
and
done and not have
have
to schedule another meeting, we aren't gonna be making
But
any.
what about those things that we were gonna talk about today?
Well, I mean, you could do that tonight. That would be my preference, but I'm at the will of the board. Remember, you're still about $17,000 over the tax cap limit.
So if you are going to approve it tonight, you would need to do the local law first. The local law that's on the agenda to come up. The tax cap override.
Right.
So we would need to do that first,
Yes.
and then adopt the budget.
We have to meet anyway, okay? We have to meet anyway. We have to have another meeting before, within the next 8 days. because we're gonna have some there's letter G's coming off the agenda under new business. And because the price of the equalization tank project, because of factors of steel prices and excavation, has just gone crazy. The bond resolution that we approved previously will be null and void, because you have to have the exact project estimate in the bonding resolution before it can go to the grant, WIA grant, and they got to finish off the grant, et cetera, et cetera. So we won't know, we'll have a good idea how much is left. On Friday, it'll be up to the bond attorney, but I think he can turn it over pretty quick. So we meet towards the end of next week or the beginning of the following week, but we got a meeting.
And I can't wait till December because.
The WIA grant has to be submitted by November 22nd.
We'll meet next Wednesday?
Are we scheduling a date now?
Mr. Supervisor, I have a quick question. The bond resolution will require a public hearing,
Oh,
and so I think you'll need some space between now and the date of the meeting. The clerk would do better, but I think it's 10 days.
So if we do it in the week of the 15th, we should have plenty of time.
Yes.
well, we need to pass that resolution tonight.
For the public hearing.
I can do anything for Monday. Monday is the LPC for the DRI.
Can't be Thursday.
Well, I have a county board meeting on Tuesday night that starts at 6 o'clock. Any possibility we could meet at 5 o'clock? This won't take a long time.
What day are you talking?
Tuesday the 16th?
Tuesday the 16th?
Monday the 15th, Doug or I can't because we,
So Tuesday works well.
Well, but that starts at 7,
well, that starts at 7, you're right.
so we could do earlier on Monday.
Good point. Yep.
Tuesday works.
Okay.
How about Monday the 15th? You're right, it starts at 7. We could start at 6 o'clock and we would be over way ahead by 7. And we're going to adopt the budget, we're going to adopt the 2022 budget on the 15th as well.
Can we do it a little earlier? Just get it out.
It's up to Dawn.
Yeah, I can do it early.
You're available at 5:30?
I can be here at 5.
You can be around 5.
5, yeah.
5.
Then we'll be out by 6.
No,
No, 5:30?
possible.
5:30 possible?
I'm gonna have a procedure done. I don't know if I ever-
So Monday's a bad day for you.
Well,
Tuesday a better day?
Yes. I got a meeting at 10 o'clock with you.
No, that's okay. If we can start at 5.
Tuesday,
Tuesday,
5 o'clock,
right.
Don?
yeah, that's fine.
16th, 5
All
o'clock.
right, so Nikki, Tuesday, the 15th, I'm sorry, the 16th, 5 o'clock. Can we meet at the town offices?
Yeah.
Okay, 130 Overwood Street? Peter, Matt?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we got to start that meeting with a public hearing.
So we're gonna have to make a resolution tonight, Pat, that you're gonna draw up for me to have a public meeting on the 16th, correct? Okay.
16 to 5 o'clock?
Yes,
Okay.
130 Overwood Street. Okay, thanks, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Can I have a motion to approve, approve paying the Seneca Falls Historical money, their 2021 budgeted contribution?
Go back to local law number 8 for the tax levy. Oh, no, I see, it's me. I'm trying to rush through it.
Am I okay?
Yeah, you're 5 o'clock.
Okay, so motion to pay the Seneca Falls Historical Society? Thank you. Second? Thank you. They wrote a letter, it's in the budget, we allocated $7,000. They're respectively asking for them to be paid the money. This just allows us to send them a check. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Proposed local law number 8, override the tax levy limit.
Well, you can hold on to that until you do the budget. to override, to do this local law. You don't need to do it tonight if you're not going to need to.
Use it.
Right. So you can carry that forward with the
Okay.
budget itself,
All right.
as long as you do that.
So Nikki, you can put that on there, and after the budget type of thing, can't speak for everybody, but I'm about 99% sure that we're not going to override
You don't need it. You've done the public hearing, and so it's ready to go if you need it.
That night, we would discuss the budget, pass the tax cap if we need it.
Yes.
And then
adopt the budget.
approve the budget.
Yes.
So if we're under the limit, we wouldn't have to do that.
We're gonna talk about a few of those things that may come up.
Right. Okay. I have a resolution here, Town of Seneca Falls Kingdom Road Pump Station and Force Main Improvement Project. Resolution determined that the proposed Town of Seneca Falls Kingdom Road Pump Station and Force Main Improvements Project is a type 1 action and will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. Whereas the Town of Seneca Falls is proposing the Town of Seneca Falls Kingdom Road Pump Station and Force Main Improvements located in the Town of Seneca Falls, Seneca County, New York. I'm not going to read it word for word. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. I have a motion here, the Town of Seneca Falls, New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act, resolution to support authorization for the Clean Water Grant Application, Kingdom Road Pump Station Upgrades, where the Town of Seneca Falls supports the submission of a New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act application on behalf of the town for the replacement of the Town of Seneca Falls wastewater treatment plant, Kingdom Road Pump Station Upgrades, hereinafter referred to as the project.
Okay, Mike, I swear you said that all in one breath. The one we just passed, looks like it's supposed to be a roll call.
You're 100% right. All of them, you're 100% right.
Yes, okay.
Yep, they all have to be that, actually, you're 100% right. And it's got to be a 2/3 majority passing it. Okay, so Nikki, would you please, first of all, let's be clear, who made the motion? On the first one.
Churchill.
Steve made the motion, seconded by Don?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, Doug Avery,
Aye.
Dyson. Aye. Lewis,
Aye.
Steve Churchill,
Aye.
Mike Vern.
Aye.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for the clean water grant application, Kingdom Road Pump Station upgrades.
Second.
Okay. Can we hold on to that for a moment? So that resolution for the grant application, support of the grant application, we have one for the Kingdom Road Sewer Project, we have one for the equalization tank. For the equalization tank, we want to hold off on, because each one of these resolutions refers to a bond resolution
Yes.
as already being adopted.
Yes.
Okay, so the bond resolution for Kingdom Road is at letter B on
That's why
our
we're not gonna
agenda
do
this
that one.
evening.
We're not going to do, this one here is just for the Kingdom Road Pump Station, right?
Yes.
Right, so you need to pass the bond resolution first
Yes,
for Kingdom Road. It's item B on there now.
yes, that's what Mr. Trespass prepared for us. And before that, there is what's called a 202B resolution that I prepared and distributed for the board members. So it'll probably be documents down the agenda. The bond resolution is at B. So we can either
Hold
bump up the
Till
bond
we get there.
resolution or push this one down
Okay.
to later in the agenda.
You need this. I filled it out. All right, we're going to hold off on this. Okay, we're skipping G. We're going to move to letter H, I think.
Okay, thank you.
I have a resolution resolution here for temporary wage adjustment for Sarah Wright, whereas due to the resignation of Cassandra effective July 31st, and the scheduled surgery and disability recovery time of Bev Warfel, Sarah Wright was left with the sole responsibility of the finance office from August 3rd, 2021 to fulfill the job roles of 3 full-time employees until the return of the principal account clerk on September 27th, 2021. Whereas she also functioned as benefits coordinator during open enrollment and student employees. Therefore, it resolved that Seneca Falls Town Board does gratefully acknowledge and appreciate Sarah's commitment to the town. Be it further resolved that for those 8 weeks of service, Sarah Wright's wage will be temporarily adjusted to the wage of the principal account clerk for her regular hours worked. These wages will be paid in a special payroll retroactive to August 3rd and ending with the return of the principal account clerk on August 27th. Total amount is $1,651.20. The funds are to be transferred from A-1010-120 to A-1010-123, senior account clerk. Have a motion for that, please.
Make motion, second.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yeah, the point here is basically for the time that after Cassandra left and while Bev was out, Sarah not only worked more hours, she was compensated for the overtime, but she actually moved on the matrix when she took on all these responsibilities. So it's her job became much more responsibilities, higher requirements of knowledge, and so that's the reasoning here, is that for that time she actually moved down on the matrix.
Any further discussion or questions?
I'm just a little, so this is going to essentially increase her wages for the year.
No, for 8 weeks, right?
Because it's being added to her payroll wages. Might it be more prudent to just give her a one-time stipend, or that doesn't really roll into her wages?
Even the stipend will have to be paid through her wages.
Huh?
Even the stipend will have to be paid through wages. It's an income.
Or a bonus?
No. There are no bonuses for municipal employees.
So this is the only way to do it?
Yes, it's the only way to do it.
No matter what we call it, the result's going to be the same.
Well, you could, at the end of the year, if your wages are X instead of Y, and then you maybe get a 3% on your wages from the previous year, right? It's because you might have got an injection of cash in the middle of the year in this case. That's all. I'm just, I'm not a high finance guy, but in the private sector, they give bonuses for going above and beyond.
Steve, her wage increase next year will be based on her hourly wage. Her hourly wage is not changing.
Okay.
This is just like from when she was taking your place when you were out.
Right.
She gets back paid for that.
That's correct.
Bev is back, we've hired someone to do some of Trish's responsibilities, so Sarah goes back to her.
Right, so I understand that. Just the way it's being paid. You can't do it in municipal.
So I think no matter what you call it, the impact for her on her taxes is going to be the same. There's no way to get around that.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Have a resolution here for granting sick leave reimbursement to Joseph McLean. Whereas Joe McLean was injured at work on January 11, 2021, which subsequently resulted in surgery recovery time for the incident. Whereas the town still had a small amount of sick leave in its sick leave bank. Whereas the elimination of the sick leave bank benefit was not removed from the employee handbook until March 3rd, with the adoption of the town board updated the employee handbook. Therefore, be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board has authorized the payroll clerk to add 10.5 hours of sick leave from the balance in the sick leave bank to Joe McLean to cover the amount of the sick time overdrawn. Be it further resolved that any amount remaining in the sick leave bank may be dissolved at the conclusion of the transfer to Mr. McLean, as no further work injuries occurred prior to the change in the employee handbook, which caused an employee to overdraw sick leave credits. Have a motion for that, please. Second? I second it. Any discussion or questions here?
two things here. One is giving Joe McLean that, the 10.5 hours, and then also dissolving the whole idea of a sick pay, because we don't have it. This motion does go.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. I have a motion here, a resolution creation of the senior account clerk position, finance office, whereas principal account clerk Beverly Werfel will retire in 2022, therefore leaving the finance office short-staffed, whereas the resignation of Cassandra Gamling depleted the office of a third of its trained staff, whereas the finance office cannot afford to wait until Mrs. Werfel's retirement to meet the staffing needs of the office as training is required. Therefore, be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board does create the position of senior account clerk and does authorize the town supervisor to begin the process with Seneca County personnel to create, post, and accept applications for the position, and be further resolved that the acceptable candidate will be placed in the matrix as a senior account clerk on a probationary status at the beginning wage for the grade level of $21.72. Have a motion for that, please.
Motion.
Have a second? Second. Discussion or questions?
So this would add a third person to that office.
Fourth person.
Fourth person. The person that we most recently added is more or less a receptionist.
Well, I mean, the thought occurs to me that if Sarah Wright can carry the load of all three positions for 2 months, why do we need 4 people in that office?
This is.
I mean, I think, you know, maybe we elevate Sarah Wright and
So it's really just so that Beth can help train the person before she's gone. Because I'm still learning from Beth. Yes, I took on her responsibilities and stuff. And hopefully when she's gone, I will be able to pass the test and you guys would promote me to principal account clerk, but then that would still leave a senior account clerk open. Right now, I'm currently training the account clerk, and to have to train the account clerk plus the senior account clerk when Bev is gone, plus get the work done is gonna be a little bit difficult to do.
it's
not a fourth person.
So it's not a fourth person,
Not a
that
fourth
person would dissolve after Bev is gone, one of the positions would dissolve. It's just so that the person can be trained.
So we end up with 3.
We will end up with 3,
There'll be
yes.
temporarily, there'll be 4 people in that office. The account clerk that we hired
Still there, and then
works 30 hours a week.
We're down to 3.
Right, and then, which is the normal, 3 full-time, 3 FTEs, we're at 2.8 at the moment. But the whole purpose of this, if it's passed, would be so Sarah can spend time training with Bev prior to Bev's retirement. There's a great deal of functions that come out of that senior account clerk's, principal account clerk's office, like budget and personnel and human resources and you name it, insurance, benefits, et cetera, that somebody just coming off the street, Bev disappears and whatever, you would really be at a disadvantage without somebody trained to do that position.
But I guess my question is, do we need 3 or can we do it with 2? Since we did it for 2 months with 1.
The reason we added
Up for discussion.
the reason we added a third position in that office anyway is because there is no way at the volume of business, we are now a big business. We carry a budget of over $13 to $15 million. There is no way that I could function as payroll, as bookkeeping, as budgeting, as benefits coordinator, as handling all the insurance, as coordinating between the employee and anybody else. It's just too much. What she does as the water billing person is also too much for one person. That's why we added that third person in the first place. To not allow us to have that 3 people, you're going to get to where you're burning out your employees. It's just too much now that it's, well, from the time the village dissolved. Doubling the employees count, the size of the employee base, all that, it's just too much. That's
You
just.
gotta remember, when Sarah was doing all this, she got burned out going into it.
When I come back from retirement, or when I come back from disability, she had to have a week off in order to recover. And is that
And,
part
and,
of just doing
and that doesn't answer the training question. To me, it's
Oh,
the most
all
critical.
right, I just had to throw it out there, because
Ultimately-
we just got done saying one person did it for 2 months, and you just had to ask the question.
As
All
Mike
right.
was saying, right now we do it with, you said 2.8 versus 3, Mike, I believe is what you just said. That is what we would end up with is 2.8, because we have the person in the front office, the account clerk, is working less than 40 hours. So when Bev is gone, it would still be just 2 full-time and then a part-time. So we did lower that versus 3 full-time. This is just a temporary position to put somebody in for that other full-time position when Bev is gone and to train in between. So technically, we are trying to cut back some by having that account clerk as part-time.
And the other thing is, you know, if you're looking at revenues or money saved, we've been down for 4 months. We were down 1 person, so there was money saved from that budgeted item for those salaries.
Well, you also gotta wonder if that is really truly ever gonna leave. You gotta wonder if that is really truly ever gonna leave.
I'm sorry.
Is that really going to leave?
I don't know. I can't speak for Beth.
That's what,
Moving target.
Mike, is the timeline on this as soon as quickly as possible, or January 1st?
I don't know. It's not budgeted for 2021, right?
Right, but you just alluded to the fact there's savings in those accounts.
What would, I don't know what the game plan was. ASAP?
That would be nice.
Okay. It'll take some time. I mean, there's some time, and then there's availability, and then interviews that the personnel committee would have to
January
do.
1st would be here for you, know,
Yeah.
for the holidays.
But, yeah.
So we put it as January
Okay.
1st?
Pardon?
Are we putting it as January
Well,
1st?
if it moves
Yeah.
faster.
I think January 1st.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I have a resolution here, whereas the water treatment plant uses a Trojan UV disinfection system, and whereas said UV disinfection system is in need of annual preventive maintenance, now therefore be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board hereby authorize the purchase of repair parts from sole source vendor, Trojan Technologies, at the cost of $6,920. Have a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Second, any discussion?
Is this budgeted, Joe?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe it should be written up top on the resolution. I hope it is.
No, it doesn't say it.
Did it say budget?
No.
No.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. I have a resolution here. The water department suffered a failure in one of the 6-inch pumps utilized to offset flooding during heavy rainstorms. A claim is filed with Liberty Mutual Insurance Company for the pump. The town received reimbursement on September 14th from the insurance company amount of $12,063.33. We are asking the board to approve a budget modification to increase the line for insurance proceed F2680 and increase line F8340.406 for the pump repair. Have a motion for that, please.
So moved.
So,
And seconded by Don. Any questions or concerns on this? Just a bookkeeping type of thing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. I have a motion here, make a motion to declare the following items surplus for Seneca Falls Police Department. 2017 Ford Utility, 109,846 miles. Panasonic FZ G1 Tough Pad and iKey keyboard, and Panasonic CF31 Tough Book. Monies received from the sale of the vehicle and computer equipment through Auctions International will go into the police department surplus vehicle and equipment reserve fund. Have a motion for that, please.
Motion.
Thank you.
second.
Second, any questions on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Resolution to release 2021 Farmers Market allotment, whereas the 2021 Seneca Falls Farmers Market was successfully concluded, whereas the Farmers Market is planned, managed, and coordinated by the Seneca Falls Development Corporation, and whereas $3,400 is included in the 21 budget for the Farmers Market, therefore it be resolved that $3,400 allotted to the Farmers Market for the fiscal year be released to Seneca Falls Development Corporation at this time. Have a motion for that, please.
Make the motion.
Second, any questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. The Ludovico Sculpture Trail is requesting the release of funds, $3,000 allocated in the 2021 budget by the town board. Itemized expenditures made through October, lawn mowing along the trail and open areas, $350 per month, etc. May through October, November, weekly front lawn mowing, trailhead entrance, removal of fallen tree, trimming once per month, and contractors Pete Noon and Joanne Bennett. Can I have a motion to release those funds, please? Seconded by somebody?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Anybody opposed? Thank you. I have a motion here authorizing amending the 2021 budget for Barton and Judas to complete an engineering plan for the drainage system and the Chapel, Chestnut, Oak, and Miller Street areas of the former village of Seneca Falls. Whereas an engineering plan needs to be completed to determine the current situation with the above slated locations, whereas an engineering plan will assist the town in making financial determinations in the form of funding and grants. Therefore, be it resolved that the principal town clerk is hereby authorized to amend the budget by $30,000, taking $30,000 from account A 404089, and putting that, which is the American Rescue Plan, or the ARP money, and adding $30,000 to the account A 8140.202, which is the storm sewers account in our general fund. Have a motion for that, please.
Make the motion.
I'll second that. Again, this is for starting to look at our drainage issue in this neighborhood, and hopefully we can move forward with a plan.
Are there any other, Peter, have there been any other engineering studies in the past?
Years ago, I think the village had
Because I would think that nothing's really changed in what's under the ground.
I believe the village had done something probably early, over 20 years ago. And then since then, there's been other work that has been, some work has been completed, so there's just a lot of unknowns right now. So we look at that, we don't have good mapping, so there's a lot of questions that we have as far as really size of pipes, what's been, capacity of existing infrastructure, where it goes. There's areas in the village that there wasn't a lot of great mapping done from the village on the old storm sewer system. So there's a lot of unknowns right now where things are flowing. The great example is tonight with the issue at 38 Miller Street. That's a pipe that didn't show up in any mapping that we've had. So there's.
Is it the village use MRV or B&L?
Village uses MRV for the most part.
Did MRV conduct any studies for the village that are, too old?
I can research it if I can.
I mean, it just seems that if you got a study out there that has the information we need on it, then
Sure.
we don't need to be spending $30,000 having, because a lot of times there's study after study after study after study. And it's about the execution once you do a study, and a lot of times that's the piece that doesn't get done, but the studies are out there.
Yeah,
We
the
should
focus
look.
here would be, part of it is 20 years ago, and I think this is one of the issues we're seeing is storms have changed. The weather has changed. So we've used what's called a design storm event. So for drainage, we'll look at different frequencies. When I say like a 5-year event, that's akin to 20, let's say 1% storm event, 100-year storm events akin to like once every, 1% chance of that happening. Those events have changed substantially since probably the early 2000s, late 90s. So that's kind of the part of you plugging into that, the modeling, the ability to do that. So it's a lot of this is just boots on the ground, legwork to kind of help work, but it's not just us, it's working with the highway department to kind of, let's go through, identify each of these catch basins, what condition are they in too, because.
I get it, but if you had a previous study that would at least even guide us a little bit, it might make things.
Yeah, we still need to
Might
look
help.
at it, yeah.
We should at least look and see if we have some in a filing cabinet.
Do I read this resolution, it looks like all we're authorizing is transferring the money, not spending the money.
We're authorizing the plan to be done. I don't know if there's any drainage plans out there.
The principal to amend the budget.
I would agree, this just transfers money, that's saying about actually executing.
Okay, well, the intent was to spend the money, to do the plan.
Right, but it may be up to 30,000, and the savings might be substantial if MRB has some of that already in the pipeline.
Authorize amending the budget for Barton and Judas to complete an engineering plan for the drainage system.
So that should be a resolve rather than a variance.
Yeah, I mean, that's a title, that's not even part of the
Okay.
resolution.
Again, I'm not in favor of kicking this down the road and delaying it, okay? We can check if there's an engineering study, but I doubt it's going to be specifically for that. Matt can look, okay? And if it was done, it was probably done a long time ago, and the village had no money, which I don't think they'd be doing studies if they didn't have any money. And I don't want to put this off another month. So the resolution is to spend $30,000 and have the study done. So that's what you're going to be voting on, if you want to vote. If you want to vote no.
If that's the case, I would recommend it be spent up to $30,000.
I have an estimate already, it's $29,500, $29,800.
Right.
300 for me. $29,500.
So
We have a scope and sequence of the plan.
discount the possible MRB material.
Contingent upon, so he's going to have to find something, and then he's going to have to look at something, and then he's going to have to spend time looking at that. What's your hourly rate?
It's a lot.
I don't know. Then he's going to have to spend time looking at that.
The mapping, we've got the old mapping for the village. And it's just not, it's not complete, so we know there's pipes there that don't show up, so. And again, the other part of that is the village did do some stuff between that time frame. And then I believe the village mid-2000s, there were a couple of significant drainage projects that the village did do. You know, our approach would be if we see pipe that's relatively new, we kind of know where the problem areas are. And then the work that was done, I think, is more North Village. And it's condition of what's out there too, because things have over 20 years, things will degrade substantially. And there's certainly some other pipes there that I don't think show up on the mapping that on Miller Street when we went down, the backlot stuff, but even there's culverts, things like that. So a update to that definitely needs to be done. We do know where the locations are based on that mapping.
Any other discussion?
Well, I just know that municipality memories are very, very short. And I just think it would be very worthwhile to at least look. I mean, you could probably find out tomorrow a study.
And I'll provide it to you.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, I can tell you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I can tell you first thing in the morning whether we have it.
Yeah, that's all. And if we do, we get it over to Barton and Judas and see if it helps them. That's all.
And then when do we approve the plan
We
to be
can
done?
approve it. We can approve for Barton and Judas to go forward. I'm not saying we don't want to go forward, but if if there's a study that was done a dozen years ago, or 15 years ago, it may be of great value to Barton and Judas to get in their feet.
I agree.
And help them go forward. And it may save us a few bucks in the process. If it does, wonderful. If not, we spent $29,500. I got no problem with that. But let's do the right thing.
Let me know, Matt.
Yes, sir.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. So, Trinity Church has reached out to me and has asked if we would be interested in maintaining the church property, mowing the lawn, and plowing their parking lot. in exchange for us, well, not us, but the town having free use of their parking lot, which gets used, I don't know, a lot during events, and I don't know about on a regular basis, but it gets used a lot during events and so forth. So I told them I would bring it to the board, and I have to probably talk to the town attorney about a hold harmless type of situation. But conceptually, is it something you want to discuss?
Is there any liability if we do this?
Is there what?
Liability.
Well, I mean, that's why you have to have some type of a hold harmless agreement with the church, Pat?
There's always some chance for liability, but initially, we would need to have an agreement to set out, what the agreement is, what the town's giving, what the town's getting. If the town's giving anything, there needs to be something coming back.
What they're asking for is, this is the parking lot, which is actually across the street from Trinity Church, so they're asking for mowing around that.
Around the parking lot?
Around the parking lot.
Not around the church?
No.
Oh, okay, all right.
Mowing around the parking lot and then plowing.
Plowing.
They already, our crews already plowed, or mowed 10 Fall Street at this point, because it's still ours. So they're right there. It's maybe it's 15 to 20 parking spaces. So, I mean, that would be a big help to the south end of, the east end of Fall Street, because there's really no parking down there.
What I'm saying is if we plow it, which is the big thing, and God forbid somebody slips on the ice, we're going to be responsible because we
Right,
didn't plow
well,
it right.
there would have to be provisions, that's why we would have these agreements. But, also know, and I'm just parroting information that was given to me in conversation. Somehow, Steve Barrow keeps bringing up the fact that the VFW, I think in Waterloo, does the same thing with the county office, with the county court building. That's the VFW's parking lot. County court uses it all the time. I know we have some creative arrangements with some of the owners of businesses behind Fall Street for parking spaces. So I think there's room to do something like this. Everybody would benefit. That lot already is used pretty much around the clock by tenants who live in the apartment buildings down there, even though it's a private space. But it would add parking to, it's a Wonderful Life Museum, and obviously additional parking for events.
We used to do some plowing at the American Legion, no, we let the American Legion use 60 State Street for a while. Wasn't there something a while ago?
Stupid,
I don't remember.
Okay. I mean, they park over there. The people from the American Legion park over there.
Is it doable for?
It is doable, but Mr. DeLalis is right in that if you take on something, you are also taking on, if you're going to take on maintenance of this parking lot, you are taking on the responsibility to maintain it in such a way as to not be negligent. Okay, so if we commit to taking care of it and we don't, yeah, there could be some liability there. Or if we do it in a way that is somehow negligent, creating a problem.
Yeah, I don't think the Trinity people are in it. They're not asking us to launch headlong into this.
Yeah. That said, it would be a parking lot like every other parking lot.
Slowly and meticulously, and then if it's doable, they benefit, the town benefits.
So, I guess we need a motion to move forward and have Pat, work on the details. So Doug, you want to make a motion?
I move that we authorize our attorney to draw up the agreements needed to enter into an agreement, maintenance agreement for the Trinity Episcopal Church parking lot.
And I second that motion. Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, Pat.
All right, so you have to give me the name. I'll need the name.
Bardo, man, I talked to, but I don't know if that's the.
Steve Bardo, he's one of the board members. He would be the person. Lives in Fayette.
Yeah, I'll get you Steve Bardo. It's a 5-4 number.
Okay, I'll be in touch with you. Doug.
Thank you.
Provide it that way.
I have a motion here to, whereas the resignation of Eileen Schmidt left an opening in the court, and whereas the town board feels it's appropriate to fill this position, therefore be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby appoint Lisa Hockenell to the position of clerk part-time in the Seneca Falls Town Clerk Court at 20 to 25 hours per week, and a starting wage of $17.49 per hour with a start date of November 8th, 2021. Have a motion for that, please.
Second.
Dave made the motion, I will second it. Discussion.
Dave and I have her resume, she's eminently qualified, perhaps overqualified. But, and then the other part of this, of course, is that we talked about this the other night, and we were interested in having, and perhaps moving forward, if this included, her hours would be such that the court window could stay open additional hours, and I think you were.
And I had the discussion with Judge Lafler, and he said yes, it'll be open until 3 o'clock.
So I think we've got a great candidate, and that condition was met.
And Judge Lafler contacted you guys about this candidate, correct?
Got all the resume here and everything.
Because I don't know or I'm doing anything with it.
You want to add anything, Steve?
Well, the only thing I heard was Judge Laffer expressed to me that you were requesting it to be open for 2:30. Well, that's what was told to me. So that's what I was thinking your agreement was. So if you discuss that with Judge at 3 o'clock, then.
Okay. Any further questions?
So, are they gonna be open until 3 or 2:30?
I thought he told me 3, but I'm losing my mind. So I won't put my hand on the Bible and say 3 o'clock.
2:30 was mentioned to me, and that we sort of, with that being mentioned to me, she lives in Waterloo. It was discussed that she could take the bank deposit out to the bank daily on her way home, which would leave our clerks in the office to continue their business. So that needs to work out as well.
Which you would have to do by 3 o'clock someday.
Yeah, the bank reduced their hours from 5 to 4 anyway, so our clerks would have to leave earlier to do that, so it just works out logistically that she can run on her way home.
Has anybody talked to any of her previous employers? Because she's had a lot of them. My experience a lot of times is when somebody works a year here, a year there, and a year here, and a year there, that there may be some, not necessarily great reasons for that.
We did not interview.
I didn't have anything to do with it.
No?
We didn't, no.
Did you guys, have you talked to
I
any?
did talk to previous employers. I was a co-worker with her for the state police. I know she retired after 20 years of the state police. So, yes, so, I mean, she put in her time, her other qualifications that she was pre-vetted through them. I mean, she hasn't had a history of that we have to be concerned with, which is important in dealing with the confidentiality issues in the court.
It seems to me, I'm the old little bit, but I don't know.
She was on the county board. I think she was the county board from Waterloo, supervisor from Waterloo.
I think she ran.
I thought she served, but I
She
don't
wasn't when I was
know.
there.
I believe she served.
But it seems to me that there was some incident with the town of Waterloo and her,
Board member.
and that I just kind of heard on the street, but to me, it might be worthwhile, just throwing it out there.
I'm assuming the personnel committee and the 2 judges did that, so.
Well, they just said they didn't.
I haven't talked to any former employers. No.
So we didn't check any references or anything like that?
I have no negative.
I think I'd be more comfortable if we did it beforehand, and could be all wet on this, but I would be more comfortable personally. And I hate that we didn't have that kind of discussion.
Dave, Doug, how do you feel?
It would be the prudent thing to do, could we deal with it then?
Well, how about we do this, then we...
Contingent upon no negative and we will follow up with the formal report.
Well, how about we do this? We table this, we'll table this appointment until November 16th. Okay, we have a meeting. It's going to delay you a week, but lessons learned. And in the meantime, you guys can facilitate with the judges on who's doing a reference check, but we should do a reference.
Well, talking with Judge Blackler on the phone the other day, he said he highly recommended this one because he had checked on it, so I don't know, but we'll get with him, I'll get with Judge Blackler.
Yeah, 16, put it off a couple weeks.
Okay. It may be the check's already done.
Yep.
Since he's not here, the thing would be to wait. Okay.
So I make a motion, we table this appointment. Can I have a second for that, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. I have a motion here, what do I have a motion here?
No, there's no motion for
Do I have a motion for, let's see.
that. Advertise.
Advertise, there's no paperwork for that?
No.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion that we advertise for tree stump removal. Can I have a second for that, please?
Second.
Thank you. This is something we do every year, and this allows Jim to go out and solicit bids for tree and stump removal for the next coming year, type of thing. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you.
You skipped over the same
You
thing.
skipped over the,
Would I skip over?
yeah, it's the annual round.
Pass.
Equipment round.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I see that. I keep looking for something we don't have, right? I don't
That's
have it.
right, you don't
Okay.
get that either.
All right, so advertise, I make a motion that we advertise for equipment rental agreement. Have a second for that, please?
Second.
Thank you. Same thing, allows Jim to go out and solicit
The annual?
annual
Yeah,
thing.
they changed it from July to January now.
Right. Okay. Anybody, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Okay, there's the one that Bev, where's that one? The transfer funds? I got it. I have a resolution here for the transfer of funds. Whereas it was required to clean out the storm drain on Miller Street to prevent backup of storm drain water into resident basements. Whereas this was an unbudgeted item, therefore be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board does authorize the transfer from the contingency account A 1990.400 to the storm drains miscellaneous project A 8140.401, the amount of $5,250 to cover the cost of the inspection and root cutting performed on 10/22/21. Have a motion for that, please. And I will second that. Thank you, Don. Again, this was for one of the petitioners this morning, our pipe, that we tried to get more flow out of it. And this is a situation where we're going to take a look at the cost analysis of what's better to do and go from there, type of thing. But when they were there, they said we're probably looking at 3 more days?
3 to 4.
3 or 4 more days. Okay. So we'll,
Yeah,
maybe we can knock that off.
I agree, we ought to look to see if it's, rather than spend money on patch, just get it fixed.
I did do a dye test on that one, from Oak Street to Miller.
And we're doing dice, now we're doing dice across the street, right?
And that took 2
Do
minutes.
we're gonna do another die test over there? You're not gonna talk to me, Joe? You and Jim are gonna do a die test across the street?
That's what you like.
I would like that, because the water is not gushing now, right?
Yep. Do it tomorrow.
That's fine.
We have to be able to get the house, so we have to call and get an appointment.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe.
Like, we're on a first name basis now.
Perfect.
Let me know. Okay. Did that. Did that. Now, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. All right, Pat, you got me totally confused.
So
Go ahead.
let's start with the resolution that states across the top, order after public hearing authorizing increase and improvement of facilities under Town Law 202-B.
Good.
Okay, everybody got that one?
Yep.
Okay, so this relates to the Kingdom Road Fourth Main project. And actually, the next three resolutions here are going to relate to the Kingdom Road Fourth Main project. This order that we have here, the first one here, this is the subject of the public hearing that you had, that the purpose of the public hearing was to authorize this order here. And so what the town is making the determination is that, one, you have we have this proposed project. Two, there's been a map plan report prepared that puts the estimated cost at $2,750,000. We have a seeker has been completed and has been found to not have significant adverse environmental impact associated with the project. And after the public hearing being conducted, the town board would be making a finding of the following: that that the public hearing was actually conducted. Two, that the construction of the improvements is in the public interest. And three, that the cost of such improvements will be apportioned amongst the various districts that make up our sewer system. Four, the map plan and report to be completed by Bartlett and Judas, which has been done. And then five is an authorization for the supervisor to execute any necessary documents for the grant programs through the Environmental Facilities Corporation that MRB has laid out for us. And then six, authorizing any local match required by those grants. And seven, town supervisor would be the authorized agent for the town. And then eight is for the town clerk, that adoption of this order requires, that a certified copy of the order be recorded in our town clerk's office and also in the office of the state comptroller within 10 days of its adoption. So that is the order that is presented to this board for adoption this evening.
I think that explains it all very well. I'm assuming this has to go with the WIA grant as well, correct?
Yeah, this will be part of that.
So you guys are facilitating all this as far as getting this stuff to Rhonda to be included in the grant, right? Type of thing? Yes. Or just it's all that we would need is a copy of this, Matt?
Yes.
Or minutes of the meeting saying we approved it?
Both. Well, yeah.
Okay.
A certified copy would be fine. We wouldn't need to.
Okay, Nikki? Okay. So we have a motion for order after public hearing authorizing increase in improvements of facilities. I'm going to make the motion that we do that. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? Any further questions for Matt or Peter or staff? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That does not require a roll call. I don't think so.
No, is it unanimous?
Yes.
Yes.
There you go.
All right, now we're going to have a resolution, New York State Infrastructure Resolution to support and authorize for clean water grant. Nope, we're not.
Hold on.
Nope.
Now let's do the bond resolution that Mr. Trust has put together. That's the several pages long.
Yep.
Because the bond resolution refers to the 202B order that you just referenced.
Okay, I got you covered.
And then we'll have the next resolution where we refer to both of them. So you have this.
Yep.
Okay. So the bond resolution is.
Well, I've got a motion to bond resolution of the town of Seneca Falls, Seneca County, adopted on November 3rd, authorizing the construction of improvements to the Kingdom Road pump station and construction of a new force main for the Seneca Falls sanitary sewer system an estimated maximum cost of $2,750,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing issuance of up to $2,750,000 of bond anticipation notes and serial bonds of the town to pay the cost of the project.
So moved.
Okay, and seconded by Doug. Nikki, I think we need to fill that out. If I remember correctly. Yes, so we do need to take a roll call on this one.
Okay. Steve Churchill,
Yes.
Dave DeLuis,
Yes.
John Dyson,
Yes.
Doug Avery,
Yes.
Mike Farrar,
Yes. Okay, so that was carried unanimously, and Nikki, this is something that's also going to have to be, you sign off on, there's a certificate on page 7, and all that.
Yes, this has a publication requirement as well. Oh, we do, okay, we have notices prepared here. That's,
Aristotle noted in the newspaper?
yes. So these what that means is, any taxpayer within the town of Seneca Falls would have the ability to challenge the adoption of this bond resolution within the next 20 days after adoption. And if you don't do it within that 20 days, you are stopped. Legal term. You are stopped from challenging it any further. So that's the purpose of that. And yes, that is very important to be done.
And Nikki and I talked this morning, so that's time sensitive as also, because that's got to be included with the WEA agreement as well.
So I'm going to get credit for finding this, but on page 7, it talks about the newspaper and other media, and it lists the revenue. Is that a problem?
It's not around anymore.
it's not around anymore.
Yeah, so that's on the certificate that our town clerk would be executing after the steps were taken to publish it. So that can be amended. It has not been executed yet. So, in there, Nikki, you can outline the steps that were done to publicize this. Yep.
And then the Finger Lakes Times will send Nikki an official document saying that they received it and publicized it. And I'll change that with the bonding attorneys that it's no longer the Revelation. Okay.
Was that one called and voted on?
Yes. And then our final resolution, right? Town of Seneca Falls, New York State, under Water Infrastructure Improvement Act, resolution of support authorizing the clean water grant application, Kingdom Road Pump Station upgrade. Have a motion for this one, please.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, so motion made by Mr. Avery. Seconded by Ms. Dated 11/3/2021. The above resolution is duly adopted. Okay, so this is, again, for that part of the grant writing, or the grant application. Any questions on this resolution? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No roll call needed.
To Pat's point, if it's unanimous, we don't need a roll call, you need to call for roll call.
I needed that one as well. Okay. Have a motion to pay.
Do we have this, is this a resolution or didn't we already do this?
So that one tonight, that's one we got to put off until November 16th because we got to change the bonding resolution to change the amount.
Yes, and we'll need a resolution tonight
Oh, yeah.
to set that. We can do that now while we're in the groove.
You were writing that for me.
I'm sorry, I got on the phone, but I need some other information.
Okay.
So, Peter, do we have a number on the equalization tank?
Yes. sitting down. 6,840,000. 6840.
You say, 6 million?
840,000.
So when this was, when the town board did a bonding resolution last September,
It was 5.8, roughly.
5.5.
5.506.
5.5.
Yes.
Holy moly.
That's a year of COVID and inflation.
And the longer you wait, the more they go up.
There you go. So, let me lay this out now of what
You
this
just,
is.
I can read your phone. Or do you want me to read your phone?
Yeah, you can totally read my phone.
I'm not gonna read the whole motion anyway, I'm just gonna make a.
I'll hit the, can I hit that?
Go ahead, you read
Go
it.
ahead, Conway. So what, this is a resolution calling for a public hearing under Town Law 202-D. This would be the same type of public hearing that we conducted earlier regarding the Kingdom Road sewer. This would be for the equalization tank. So ultimately, you know, whereas the town is proposing a improvement to the sewer system, which would consist of replacing an existing 2.8 million gallon equalization tank that has fallen into disrepair with a new 3 million gallon equalization tank and associated connection piping incidental thereto. Whereas there's the map plan report for this project has an estimated maximum cost of such improvement of $6,840,000. And now, whereas the town board is calling a public hearing for said proposed improvement pursuant to town law section 202-B. Now, so therefore, be it resolved that the town board would be holding a meeting. Where are we going to do that?
On November 16th,
Okay, so November 16th,
5 p.m.,
5 p.m., Nikki, and where?
town offices, 130 Ovid Street.
Okay. And that'll be for the purpose of conducting a public hearing for the proposed increase and improvement of the facilities of the sewer system of the town. And that the town clerk is authorized and directed to publicize a notice for that public hearing with those terms. So that is your
So moved.
resolution.
Have a second, please? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Who seconded?
Anybody opposed?
Who seconded?
I second it.
No, Dave.
I made the, I don't know.
You made the motion.
I made the motion. Yeah, I said so
Okay.
moved.
All right.
Natalie, Missy,
Yes.
what the heck? What's it, about 42 degrees in here? Oh,
It was
whoa.
too loud, the fan.
Don't worry about it. Keep the cost
Are you
down.
cold?
Can I have a motion to, we have one sewer credit, can I have a motion to provide the sewer credit to the customer on our invoice there for $250.56. Thank you. Any questions or discussion?
Smaller than most money.
Yeah. Is there any other new business in front of this board?
I think a quick discussion, I talked to Peter a little bit about earlier, the orange barrels on Bayard Street, I'm really failing to see the purpose of those. They're really pushed up quite a ways out of the, they really effectively do nothing to narrow down traffic. I think that in the winter, they're just gonna be more of a hazard and a nuisance than anything else. If they really serve the purpose, I could get it, but there's no signage associated with them. I don't think it conveys anything to people driving through that area. I talked to our highway superintendent, and he said that he inspects the area frequently, and there's been no evidence of any, cracking or settling. So I think we should remove. I don't see what they do.
I'm not an engineer, and if you can move them, if he gives the blessing, or Matt gives the blessing, it was Matt, wasn't it?
yeah, that's not my blessing, that's Matt Scully, kind of provided that, so, and I gave Steve quite a quick, should I use the speaker, my, good.
If you can give us a good, clear explanation why we need them there, I mean.
Well, the bottom line is that canals originally closed the road, it's under, and the thought was, we did kind of an assessment of what are the implications of failure, so when canals close that road, number one, they really have the authority to close that.
Correct.
So
Right,
it's,
so we gotta just discard that. They don't
well,
have
I think
any
right now
authority.
DOT, so it's DOT's issue too, so I think right now that road, quite frankly, I think is being held open because the letter that Matt issued pretty much stated that, you know, here's what the engineering assessment was, let's do this, and the recommendations were really that there's a weight limit on the road anyway, so essentially hard to enforce that, but I think there's a 6-ton limit on the road, keep the traffic down to 2 lanes, so when those cones originally went out, they really funneled things down to 2 lanes. The reality is, there's not 3 lanes there now. I mean, so I think that's there's hard to get 2 lanes, there's hard to get 3 lanes of traffic through there now, so it does limit that.
Well,
And then ultimately it's the,
there's 2 lanes when you get up closer to the Interlochen Street, Berry Street intersection. If you're a ways back there, there's really never been 3 lanes of traffic going through there. It's just 2 lane there.
well, that's, yeah, and again, that's the recommendation came from a person that's kind of runs our transportation group. And honestly, when he made their recommendation, quite frankly, I think that it was a stopgap, under the expectation that their project would happen.
Over 2 years, and they're sitting there, they're not in any particular.
Yeah, that's kind of, he's got his liability and our company's liability on the line. That discussion's it's really above my pay grade. I think if that's the case, we can certainly reassess that based on what's going on after 2 years, but I think ultimately that really, the intent behind that was a short term.
It sounds like it's just a CYA. It's a CYA. Those barrels are sitting there.
Well, I think if Matt changed their recommendation, I think the implications could be the DOT would have the authority to kind of, the DOT.
Could you check with him?
Yeah, somebody's got to check.
Yeah, I'll talk to Matt on that.
Yeah,
That's the.
See if the positions change, or if it's possible we can remove them, type of thing.
Yeah.
I know somebody is probably, you're absolutely right, it's a liability, so yeah, somebody's covering their butt, no doubt about it, rightly so.
But I don't know how the barrels being there really covers any,
Don't know.
It mitigates a liability. If somebody gets hurt over there, and it's determined because the thing caved in, somebody's gonna be liable. Those barrels aren't gonna get you off the hook. I'm sure of that. And because there's no signage associated with them, and it doesn't convey anything to anybody. There's just a bunch of barrels in the road over there. When they closed it, that conveyed something to somebody.
Don't drive on them barrels, it might collapse.
Okay, well, give something for the kids to knock over too, man, you're taking away all the fun.
The other thing I'd like to bring up is Penn Yan. I go to Penn Yan quite often, and Route 54, which goes right through downtown Penn Yan, their parking lines, the lines that for your parking spots, they have the same type of parking we have. The laterals come out an additional 18 inches into the road. Okay, the ones that come up from the sidewalk, comes past the white line and up, and it's amazing how much that aids in parking. You can see where the spots truly are, because normally if there's cars there, they're really kind of covering the lines, right?
You're talking about Paul Street?
What's that?
You're talking about Paul Street?
Yeah.
Well, you have to contact the state, and they're the ones that take care of the parking.
And they must have done it, that's Route
Down there.
54 and Penn Yan, so yeah, I'm thinking the state.
I can get your number to talk to Chris at DOT.
We should, well, did you reach out? I've asked Kim about it, but I think it's something we should pursue. Boy, it makes it much easier to park. And I'll give you an example. You get down towards the end of Fall Street in front of Red's, not that I ever go in that place, but in the deli, you get down there, you can't tell whether there's a spot, and when people park, they park over the line because they can't tell, you can't tell where you are when you're parking. And these sticking out in the road make a world of difference. It's amazing. It's worth the drive to Penny and just to check it out. And park here. But can we talk to DOT on that?
I'll make a call.
Huh?
I'll make a call for it.
Thank
You're
you.
going to take it right down right now.
Is that?
I said, I think I'm gonna take a ride down right now.
Oh, it's a great town, anyway.
Oh, you sure you will?
Penn is a lot of nice places.
Best thing they ever did is they kept Walmart out of Penn.
Okay, any other new business? Well, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
We got to.
All right. Have a motion to pay the bills.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, Dave Avery, second by Don. All in favor to pay the bills?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, have a motion to adjourn. Second? Thank you. All in favor of adjourning? Thank you, Joe.